Thank you for coming today and welcome to the Marion County 2025 State of the County Address. We're thrilled to have you here today. As we gather to hear the commissioners discuss recent achievements, our initiatives, and future direction of Marion County, I think you'll find very interesting their comments that'll come up later in the program. I am Jan Fritz. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer for Marion County. I have worked for the county for a long time. Over the years, I've had the pleasure of working with different county commissioners, and I have worked with 11 different Marion County commissioners over the years. That ought to tell you how long I've been here. Randy Franke comes to mind. So, each commissioner brings their own perspective, their own personality to the position, to the board, and to the communities we serve. Yet the current board has successfully led us through some of the most challenging times in our history. First, I would like to recognize and thank our sponsors too before we get to the board. Our gold sponsor is Portland General Electric. We have some of you there today. Thank you. They have been a long-term supporter. I believe they go back to the Randy Franke days as well. So thank you very much for your continued support. Our silver sponsors are Salem Electric, PAC West Lobby, Salem Convention Center, the Hotel Salem, Northwest Natural Gas, and the Grand Hotel. And our bronze sponsor is the Salem Chamber of Commerce. Thank you. I also want to acknowledge the Salem Convention Center and its staff for hosting today, as well as the Marion County Board of Commissioners team who have decorated and done a magnificent job organizing this event for everyone today. All right, first I want to call your attention to the QR code on the back of your program. Scanning the code will take you to the commissioners' full bios, their committee assignments, and other county information. If you scan the QR code on the table tent, you can enter a question for the commissioners that, if time permits, at the end of their speeches, they'll answer the questions for you. So, all right. I do want to acknowledge all the elected officials in the room. Would you please stand? Wow. Thank you all for your service. Would all Marion County employees please stand? Nice. I want to take a brief moment and personally thank the department heads, the elected officials, and all county staff for their dedication and professionalism in serving the public. They've worked diligently through major disasters and emergencies. I knew I'd do this. To ensure our communities and our residents were safe and assisting them as they recover and begin again. I know, and I want all of you to know, that our employees will be there when needed, and that you can expect excellence from them every single day. Thank you, Marion County employees. All right, as each commissioner comes up on the stage, I'll provide a brief introduction. First commissioner, it is my pleasure to introduce Commissioner Kevin Cameron. Commissioner Cameron was appointed to the Board of Commissioners in 2014, elected to his first term in November of 14, and re-elected in 2018 and 2022. He served in the Oregon House of Representatives, representing House District 19, when he was first appointed in 2005 by the Marion County Commissioners. He was re-elected to the position for 4 additional terms, and he served as the House Republican leader during the 2011 session. His professional career includes 50 years in the hospitality industry, including VIPs and is co-chair and CEO of Cafe Today Restaurants. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree from Oregon State University, and he received an honorary doctorate from Colm University in 2011. His areas of interest include transportation and infrastructure, natural resources, solid waste management, and wildfire recovery. He also serves on many regional, state, and national committees. Right. Commissioner Colm Willis, I saw you over there. Commissioner Willis was elected to the Board of Commissioners in November of 2018 and re-elected in 2022. As the chair of the board in 2020, Commissioner Willis led the county through 2 federal disasters, the start of COVID-19 and the tragic 2020 wildfires. Prior to being elected, Commissioner Willis served as an aide to the United States Senate Joint Economic Committee. And he represented small businesses, entrepreneurs, and nonprofits as a business attorney. He holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from Boston College and a Juris Doctor from Willamette University School of Law. Commissioner Willis currently chairs the Marion County Public Safety Coordinating Council, and he volunteers with Catholic Community Services Foundation Board of Directors. He lives in Staten with his wife and children. All right. The chair of this year's board is Commissioner Danielle Bethell. Commissioner Bethell is a native-born Oregonian and a longtime community advocate and volunteer. She was elected to the Marion County Board of Commissioners in 2020 and re-elected in 2024. She was the president of the Oregon Association of Counties in 2024 and is the immediate past president. She is a member of the Legislative Steering Committee and numerous subcommittees. Commissioner Bethell represents Oregon at the National Association of Counties Board of Directors and is a member of the National Subcommittee on Health. She is the vice chair for Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance, and she is the immediate past chair of the board for Northwest Senior and Disability Services. She is a graduate of Oregon State University and co-owns Bethell Plumbing. Her priorities include children and youth issues, housing, public safety, homelessness, behavioral health, mental health, and wildfire recovery, as well as economic development. Thank you all, commissioners, for being here today. Quite a group. Now, if you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Paul Summers from Christian Aid Ministries up to the podium to give today's blessing. Paul and his wife Faith are here today from California, where they live just north of Sacramento. Paul has been a licensed general contractor for 21 years, and this year he's serving as the Winter Project Coordinator with Christian Aid Ministries, rebuilding homes up the canyons. This volunteer group has returned every year since 2021 to rebuild homes destroyed by the wildfires. Please welcome Mr. Paul Summers. All right. You guys ready? Thank you very much.
So I have just a few words I'd like to say, and I want to say it's been a privilege for Christian Aid Ministries to be here in the Santa Am Canyon rebuilding 26 homes that we've done in the past 4 years. And we want to thank the commissioners and the county people that helped us through some of the difficult situations that we had to deal with. It's been a pleasure working with them, and I just want to give a hand to them for my experience has only been for a year here. In the last year, there was another guy that was here for the other 3 years, but being a general contractor from where I come from and working with the people here, it has really been good. I can't say anything bad. It was good. And I want to thank all of you people for making that possible. And God bless you for that. So with that, let's bow our heads for a prayer. Heavenly Father, we come to you this noon's hour. We thank you for this day that you've blessed us with. We thank you that we can be together in this way and be reminded of your blessings to us and all the good things that you give us. We want to honor you with our hearts and with our minds today. Bless the further program and all the people that will be taking part, and just pray that as we reach out to the needs around us and to the things that affect Marion County here, that your blessing could rest upon each one. We thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Paul, thank you for the great blessing, and Jan, thank you for your service to Marion County and for the introductions. And one of the things we wanted to do is that have you up here and share a little bit about the accomplishments. We wouldn't have built the homes back in the county, in Lynn and Marion counties that you've done, but because of your organization and reaching out to us after the Labor Day fires. And boy, did you do a lot of work. Christian Aid Ministries focused on rebuilding homes for individuals in the Santiam Canyon. Many of you probably have seen some of those homes that have been done for the uninsured or the people that had gap insurance. And over the last 4 years, 12,070 Christian Aid Ministry volunteers have come to Marion County and Lynn County and donated 57,211 hours. And all that labor was free. Thank you so much.
Cam first arrived at the scene in August of 2021, and by the end of 2022, I completed work on 15 homes. They also assisted in collaborative rebuilds and other side projects, including some siding and flooring projects that they were convinced to participate in. And then they were going to leave. But in 23, we lobbied Christian Aid Ministries to stay and continue to help families in our community. And even though they were scheduled to go to respond to other disasters, other parts of the country, they listened and they built an additional 11 homes for just over $100,000 per home in material costs. All the labor was donated for those homes. As a result, 11 more households than originally planned are now in safe, secure, and permanent houses in the Santiam Canyon that they couldn't have afforded but for Christian Aid Ministries.
What this data doesn't tell you, however, are the stories that CAM volunteers pitching in where needed or finding other projects to assist while waiting on the next project or the next phase of the project. I've had the opportunity since before being a commissioner to be involved in the wildfire recovery, and since being a commissioner, being involved with every step that Christian Aid Ministries took, from the moment they made the call to the moment they flew in. And I haven't met all 12,000 volunteers, but I feel like somehow I've interacted with them. Joe Nichols is the very first individual that came out here to put eyes on our Santiam Canyon and to see what our need was. He couldn't be here today because he already spent 3 years with us out here in Marion County, and he's welcome anytime. But there is somebody else here today that I would like to come up on stage. Marlene, would you please join us? Marlene has been here each and every day, handling all the documentation, invoicing, people issues, and doing so with grace, humility, and passion. Marlene, for our team in Marion County, you have been the absolute go-to person, the backbone, the cheerleader for every project, and we're so grateful for the devotion to your faith and to your mission that brought you to us. These individuals literally put their lives on hold over the past 4 years to serve our community and our neighbors. And now their mission in the Santiam Canyon is completed. I'm a bit bummed we didn't build you a house to stay. We want to take a moment to thank you all 12,000 plus of you, but specifically the leadership of Christian Aid Ministries that keeps the wheels on the bus going forward from disaster to love up our neighbors in their most vulnerable moments. Because of that, we want to offer you just a small token of our appreciation to take back to wherever you might want to hang this and acknowledge Marion County and continue to love us from afar and remember everything that you've done for us here in our community.
Okay, well, there's another award we'd like to give today that goes right alongside of what we just witnessed here. And we're going to give it to our own Marion County building, planning, and septic teams led by Brandon Wright. Brandon, if you want to come on up here, because as incredible as Christian Aid Ministries has been over the last 4 years, none of this would have been possible without the work of Brandon and his team in the building and planning division. But first, let me give you some context for how impressive these folks have been during the last 4.5 years. Many of you have heard about Paradise Fire in California. It happened in 2018. 7 years later, just over 37% of the homes have been rebuilt. Only 41% of the original residents have returned to Paradise as of 2025. In contrast, in the Santiam Canyon, just 5 years, it says 5 years, it hasn't even been 5 years, it will be 5 years September 8th, 2025. Just 4.5 years after the Labor Day fire, 71% of our homes have received building permits, and nearly 90% have received septic permits and are in the process of being rebuilt. Almost all of our pre-fire population has been able to return home. This is more than twice as fast as the recovery at the Paradise Fire in California.
Marlene's here, but I'm going to steal her words. She said to us, without us even asking, she said, "I'll never forget the experience that we had when the county asked us in the last week of January, 1 year, if we could possibly add one more house to the list that winter. We said we could," Marlene said, "if by some miracle the permit process could be expedited." I submitted the paperwork on February 5th, and 7 business days later, this amazing team had issued us a building permit, and we completed the house within 3 months.
And more recently, Cam needed a revision done last minute. And again, the building and planning team worked with Cam to allow the work to continue without pause, which is no small matter if you know anything about building anything in Oregon, let alone this jurisdiction. When you're on a time crunch and you have to keep 18 construction workers busy, Brandon and his team take that seriously. Paul said that it was the best experience he has ever had with any building specialist in any county he's ever worked, anywhere in the country. And he has been a contractor his entire life. He said, "From the person answering the calls to the inspectors at the job site, it feels like they really care about what we are doing and wanted to do their part in getting these fire survivors back into their homes." And it's not just Brandon that's doing this work, and we know that, and we know this about you. So we'd like to bring Chris Trussell and Kim Aldrich on stage. Chris runs our building and planning program, and Kim runs our septic teams. Because of the three of you and the hearts that you have for our community, we've been able to, at a rapid pace, get people back into their homes, which is the most important thing to do after any type of disaster. And while we know it's not just the three of you doing this work, it's because of the three of you that these people have a place to lay their head and a home to turn the lights on and a place to share a meal. We know that you take it seriously, and you're representing the commissioners' hearts in this work, and we want to say thank you so much for your diligence, your passion, and your tedious quick drive up the canyon on a regular basis to make sure every single one of these properties could go through every step of it as quickly as possible. Thank you.
And so we have a vision. This is the Marion County Vision Award that we'd like to present to each one of you. And then we have them also for the people in your departments that will get them to you. So Brandon, Chris, Kim, thank you so much for your service to the people that are sitting out here in Marion County and those that are not here today that are benefiting from your service. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think next year we have to have John wear like a yellow vest so we can see you.
Well, I had to get some coffee there to spill on my tie, or I wouldn't be in good form as a restaurateur, former restaurateur. This is a great event. So I want to thank our sponsors for making it possible. And it's really important that we have that kind of support so that we could do this and have you all come here, some without having a meal free of charge, and those that we could reduce that meal price. Thank you for all the people that were just up here. Christian Aid Ministries are planning. Jan Fritz, I don't know where you went. You probably escaped. But what a blessing this county has in her and her leadership and the people that report to her. She's right. We have great people here. And then I was going to have all the Marion County employees stand, but here's what I was going to say. So those of you that work every day to serve the citizens, to protect, promote, and enhance the quality of life for Marion County citizens, and your paycheck is signed by those citizens, please stand up. You don't have to do it again, but we just need to remember that our paychecks are signed by you who pay your property taxes, and we serve you every day to achieve that excellence. The customer, I always used to say in the restaurant business, signs our paychecks. So I've been doing this now for 20 years as an elected official, 7 elections. And I was looking back at some of the things that I have shared with you at these, this would be my, I think, 11th State of the County. First one was in 2015. And a lot of the same things were over and over and over again. And I sat there and I said, well, what are we really achieving sometimes? It looks like we're moving extremely slow. But what I've asked myself is, there's some slides that are going to start showing. And a lot of these slides are from this year. Yeah, they're going. They're from this year, and some of them go back 5 years. Maybe even one of them goes back to when I was in the legislature. And as you're looking at these slides, you have a chance to ask some questions. Every one of these slides tells a story. There's a story behind it. And maybe you're going to see one of those slides, and you're going to say, "Hey, what's that story?" So don't make a note and feel free to ask the question if you see something up there. I want to give some credit. I don't know if Zach is here, but Zach Stone probably has half of those slides. The rest of them are off of my iPhone, so you might wonder who's the better photographer. Zach, are you here? No, he's not here today, but give credit to Zach on some of those. Is he here?
No, they're just calling out. They're calling out.
Oh, that might be Zach. Who knows? I was with him on this trip. I'll tell you about it later. So my areas of focus continue to be wildfire recovery, and a big part of that is our parks and what you saw today, a sewer system that's being rebuilt, or that's being built in Mill City that's going to serve Gates in Mill City. Transportation, I serve on the SCATS and the NWAC Mid-Valley Transportation Committee here. Natural resources, I serve on ONC Timber Counties Association Board, and NACO, what we refer to as WIR, which is a Western Interstate Region of 18 states. I serve on that board as well. In environmental services, I serve on the SWAMAC, which is our Solid Waste Management Advisory Committee, and also on a regional solid waste management committee that has members all the way from Lane County all the way up to Multnomah County. Hot topics that I want to share with you today in those areas: solid waste, a sewer system, and a Detroit Lake drawdown. And solid waste, just think about this, about 2 tons per capita are produced in Marion County. That's each one of you, right? 2 tons of garbage. Out of that, we recover almost 50%. The top 3 counties in Oregon, or 3 agencies in Oregon that recover, we're number 2. Lane County recovers about 52.9%. When I say recovery, that's pulling out your recycling bin, construction materials at our MRF, et cetera. Marion County is 46.7%. So I think Lane County cheats. I always say that. I don't know how they could do that, but they do have their own landfill, so they have a little bit different system than we do. And then Metro, which is the Tri-County region up in Portland, pulls out about 43.9%. Those numbers are as of 2022. I say that because one of the hot topics is over in the legislature again. I won't mention the senator's name, that has filed a bill, same one that filed a bill 488, that shut down the waste energy facility, has filed a bill to take away flow control, because those 3 highest recovery units all have flow control. And if you're trying, as DEQ is going to ask us to do, to take more out of our waste system, and your top 3 have flow control, it makes a lot of sense to take flow control away from agency or from people who are already achieving high numbers. I don't get it. So, and they will say Salem's climate action plan needs them to have control of their own waste here in Salem. There's no city councilor here, there's no mayor here from city of Salem who has asked for this bill. It's just a senator and her few people that are trying to get this bill passed. 1% of the CO2 emissions in the city's climate action plan, 1% out of 100 is due to waste, and you're going to go after that. DEQ, a Department of Equality, is going to have a Recycling Modernization Act that's going to affect every one of us starting July 1st. We have to figure out how we're going to implement that. We got to do that on a regional basis. We got to do that as a county, not as individual cities. I want to share some facts that are important. This is a fact. My trash bill, well, it's actually Bicky. Bicky's here with me. I pay it, but she contributes to the trash. Yeah, I'm in trouble tonight. I can tell already. Our trash bill, and I pay for a very small bin because I'm a master recycler, and she gives me crap. Why don't we have a bigger bin so we can put more in it? And I said, no, we're going to stay with this. I said, it's a small DEQ. It went up this year to $23.55 per month, all right, for weekly service. 7% of that, because it's in the city limits, this trash bill I'm talking about, 7% of that is a Salem franchise fee that goes into their general fund. Outside the city limits, Marion County franchise fee is 3%, and that money goes into our environmental services fund, not to our general fund. So I'm just giving you some things. Fact, stormwater bill for the same location in Salem, $40.85 a month. It's just a stormwater bill, which includes a general fund charge of $15.33 that goes into the general fund of the city of Salem, and a $1.08 franchise fee. They charge a franchise fee on their own utility. So, okay, so I'm getting excited here. Maybe once a month I see a street sweeper for that. All right, my point being is your garbage bill is the smallest utility that you pay. Yet we spend, lately probably it seems like 25% of our time in meetings talking about garbage and how are we going to handle it in the future. It's a challenge. The second area I want to talk about is the sewer system. And how am I doing on time?
We're not timing you, sir.
Good. Is the sewer system in the Santiam Canyon, and I think Mill City is here, the mayor is here, Stacy is here, I saw him earlier today. before the fire, we were working on this project for many years. And because the fire happened and ARPA money was there, the state gave us $50 million to help develop and get this sewer system going. In the middle of this, our Public Works team, special projects, were moving along, getting ready, and all of a sudden we were informed by DEQ about a Supreme Court decision called the Maui decision. The Maui decision does not allow, Maui decision requires basically a in-water national permit to go with this system we're developing. We have a rule here, it's called the Three Basin Rule, it's an Oregon rule that does not allow direct discharge or national permits to be issued in the three basins, one of which is the South Santiam River. So we're at conflict. We can't move forward because national says we have to do this, state rule says we have to do this. We filed for a DEQ rule change. It won't happen, and that was in August. It'll take a year to get that rule change done, and we have to start construction before June 1st to meet our ARPA deadlines and get this project completed before the December 31st, 2026 deadline. Our great senator, the other one, Senator Fred Girod, filed a priority bill. It's Senate Bill 1189. It passed the Senate on Monday. It is now in the House on the Speaker's desk, and we got to get that to the governor's office and signed by the end of this month. May 1st is our goal. It's an emergency bill so that it'll allow us to start construction by June 1st. It won't give us the permits, but it'll allow us to start construction. Then my last area that I wanted to share is the Detroit drawdown. I was at Detroit Monday night for a meeting with Army Corps and a lot of other partners, and there's a concern for many of us. The water that's on your table right now, it's not bottled water. It's probably the best water that you could drink anywhere in the country. Sweet, huh? No, it's not as good. Kaiser's is not as good, trust me. No, it's not. Hey, it's a fact. You could test it. You could do a blind taste test. My daughter lives there. They have to put special chemicals even in their hot tub so it doesn't corrode. All right, so you're drinking sweet mountain water. I'm holding up a book. If you want to have a book, this is a good book. I read it on a beach in Belize. Fell asleep a couple times. This is a really good book. It'll give you the history of the water you're drinking. Back to the 1800s up until 2003. We are still writing chapters in this book to preserve the quality of water in the city of Salem. This drawdown, and if you read this book, you'll find out that the Guerin Island, which the water comes out in Staten, is sand filtered. If we have a drawdown that brings a bunch of silt down the river, like what happened down at Green Peter, we will clog up Salem's filters. So we have to be very concerned about that. And the Army Corps is listening to us. The other thing that will happen, kokanee. Kokanee fishery down south in Green Peter is wiped out. Guess what? Detroit has now the best kokanee fishing in the state, basically. And it's helping their economy. And, Robert's probably here. He works here. Robert, are you here?
Yep, over there.
Yeah, there he is. Robert, runs this place, and he goes up there and kokanee fishing, so he's always on my case about this. And then another one, I think Rich Duncan's probably going to raise his hand on this, is recreational boating, right? You want to keep your boats in the water up there. So one of the things that we have been working on for mitigation process for that particular issue is a marina excavation. That is starting next fall and will be done over 2 years and will lower the level of the marinas so that low water. So those are just a few of the big topics that I wanted to share with you. And I think you'll find that they're multi-year. And I've been here, like I said, 10 and a half years. And some of these projects started way before I even got here. So it's important that we have consistent leadership, not only here, but also Jan, Brian, Ryan, the people that do the things that we do every day and make sure they happen. That these are important things that we can accomplish to promote, protect, and enhance the quality of life for every citizen in Marion County. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cameron. Those are definitely some important projects that are at the top of our list. I want to change tact a little bit and talk about some other things we're working on. The other day, I was at the Songbird House, and I got to meet a new mother who had just moved in. Her son was 21 days old and had just been released from the NICU. He was beautiful, and I remember how his little hand wrapped around my finger. His mom told me how grateful she was to be able to be at the Songbird House. She had been homeless and struggling with addiction. DHS wouldn't have allowed her to take her baby back to the outdoor shelter she was living in at the time out of fear that he wouldn't have survived in that environment, and she had nowhere else to go. But there in that moment, she seemed so relaxed, and her baby was so peaceful in her arms. It made me so happy. We had used some of our federal funding to help Soaring Heights, the nonprofit that runs the house, so they could purchase it and have a safe place for moms in recovery to live. I looked at that child and I thought of all the hope and potential that exists in that little human. I also thought how wonderful this community is for loving and supporting him and his mother. The folks at the hospital for taking care of them. Eric and Veronica at Soaring Heights for giving them a home. Our drug and alcohol team at Marion County for providing treatment to his mom. Drug addiction is a horrible, horrible thing. And those criminal organizations that are producing and trafficking this poison into our community are evil organizations. But how we respond to this crisis, how we help people who are suffering from addiction and their children, says something about who we are and what our values are. One of the amazing things that I've learned as a commissioner is that for some people, the love they have for their children is more powerful than the most powerful street drugs. It can be easy when we see all the suffering around us to think that things will never get better, that addicts can't overcome their addiction, but I know that that's not true. And I know that because I now work with many people at Marion County who will confidently tell you that they're an addict. And they confidently tell you this because they know that the lies they used to tell themselves about their addiction are what led them to the worst moments of their lives. And they know that the truth is what brings them redemption, peace, and joy, not just to their lives, but to our whole community. This came to me early as my time as a commissioner when I was visiting her place, which many of you know about. This is the original home that has inspired homes like the Songbird House. It's run by the county for moms who are in danger of losing their children to DHS because of their addiction. Instead, they can stay in this house and have a supervised home while they go through treatment. I remember being impressed at how successful this program's been. It's been around for over 20 years. And so when Peter Davidson, the CFO of Pacific Source, our local CCO, called me several years ago and told me that the state had allowed Pacific Source to invest some of their reserves in real estate, and he was looking for opportunities that had a treatment component, I told him that our team had been hoping to have a house for dads in the same situation. And true to his word, he and Pacific Source helped fund the purchase of his place, which has allowed dads to be with their kids in treatment. And while all this work says something important about our values here in Marion County, it also says something important about the values of those evil organizations that are bringing this poison into our community. That's the reason why today I'm calling for a joint Salem and Marion County drug team to investigate those drug dealers who are specifically targeting individuals in our homeless community. There are people right now, today, who are bringing drugs into our community and specifically targeting the people on our streets. We can't stand by and do nothing while crime bosses get rich targeting the most vulnerable people in our community. We must act, and we must act now. Doing nothing is not an option. And while picking up the pieces and helping people on the road to recovery is important work, it's past time that we made it clear that if you're selling drugs to homeless people in our community, we will find you and we will put you in jail. One of the saddest things that we're now dealing with is the rise of substance abuse and crime among the youth in our community. We've seen a significant increase in serious crimes being committed by juveniles in Marion County. Part of this stems from the failed experiment we just went through with Measure 110, which legalized drugs, and that law caused 4 years of damage to our community, and our youth didn't come out unscathed. But I was also relieved to see that recently the governor fired the director of the Oregon Youth Authority. Based on the articles, it appears that the leadership at Oregon Youth Authority failed in many different ways. But one of the ways that we've seen here in Marion County is that they have failed, horribly failed, to appropriately supervise individuals who were known to be dangerous and in their care. Between 2021 and 2023, 11 juveniles shot somebody in our community in either a murder or an attempted murder. 6 of these kids, over half of them, were under OIA supervision at the time that they committed those crimes. This is similar to the failure of the state hospital. The state of Oregon released these individuals back into our community, even though they were known to be dangerous. And while they were under OIA supervision, they went out and shot people. We need reform at the Oregon Youth Authority, and we need it now. One of the things that we can do locally here to help our youth is to bring school resource officers back to the Salem-Keizer School District. Several years ago, during the failed defund the police movement, there were some activists who convinced the Salem-Keizer School Board that school resource officers were not helping victims of child abuse. They weren't helping victims of crime, but they were actually making things worse. Although this wasn't true, the argument convinced the majority of the school board back then to get rid of these officers. As a result, kids feel less safe in our schools nowadays, and many of them are not thriving. This is a disservice to our kids, and we need to bring these officers back as soon as possible. But our schools need more than this. The Urban Institute recently found that adjusted for demographics, Oregon's performance in the National Assessment of Educational Progress put our students dead last nationwide in 4th grade reading and math. I want that to sink in for everyone here. The kids in Oregon schools are not just struggling, they're not just in trouble, they're performing the worst in the nation in 4th grade reading and math. And to be clear, that's basic literacy and basic arithmetic. That's what 4th grade reading and math are. None of our statewide leaders are treating this with the urgency that it deserves. This is a full-blown crisis for the future of our state. And it's not a funding crisis. Over the past decade, school spending has nearly doubled, yet our kids' performances has plummeted during the same time. I know that as commissioners, we're not in charge of our schools, but we can and must rally our community to help solve this problem. One of the small things we recently did was provide a $30,000 grant from our Economic Development Fund to partner with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, their Early Learning Hub, and local Rotary clubs so that every child can have a free book sent to them every month to read with their parents from the time they're born until they turn 5 years old. I remember being a little kid, I loved it when my mom or dad read to me, and it's one of my happiest things as a father is reading to my kids. I can't think of a thing that I'm more proud of than making this experience available to our kids in our community. And by allowing parents to choose and participate in the education of their children, I believe that's just one step on the path that will get us out of this crisis. And I can't think of a better cause. Kids are the one group of people that don't have lobbyists, they don't have political action committees, they don't have special interest groups. So when a community like ours comes together and we help kids who are struggling in our community, we tell the whole world what kind of people we are. Speaking of education, one of the conversations that's been swirling around the past several years is how to fund public services in our community. And there's an idea that tax increases could be a solution to this problem. But I've realized that the best way for our communities to increase the revenues that support public services is not to raise taxes, but rather to support the growth and development of local businesses in our communities. Because when local businesses grow, they develop property, which leads to increased revenues for our local governments without any tax rate increases. We've seen this happen in communities across Marion County. And it also has the benefit of protecting folks who are on fixed income so that they're not taxed out of their homes. So this last year, the Board of Commissioners commissioned a study to study the property taxes paid by businesses in our community, and we put together a video on that study. I'd like to share that video with you now.
You might think you know how public services like education, infrastructure, and emergency management get funded. Your tax dollars, right? Well, not entirely. There's another contributor who is often overlooked. Local businesses play a crucial role in creating jobs and paying salaries, but many people don't realize that they also make a significant contribution to vital public services in our community through property taxes. Unlike residents who pay taxes primarily based on their home value, businesses pay based on the value of their business property, including warehouses, machinery, and equipment. In Marion County, businesses shoulder just over 27% of the total property tax burden, easing the load on individual households. This also means that when a business grows in our community by, say, building a new warehouse or purchasing new equipment, the value of its property increases, and so the amount of tax revenue the business contributes increases as well. This translates to millions of dollars annually. Here in our community, local businesses pay $37.6 million just to our local school districts every year. This pays the salaries of 553 teachers in Salem-Keizer schools. Local businesses provide $23.24 million in revenue to Marion County every year. This pays for 272 sheriff's deputies and $7.4 million in property taxes paid by local businesses to local fire districts is enough to hire 37 firefighters. That's not all. The revenues generated by local businesses also help to create and preserve important public spaces like parks and libraries. Every time you call the fire department, send your child to school, or are protected by a sheriff's deputy, you're benefiting from the support businesses provide to our community through property taxes. In fact, without this crucial contribution from local businesses, each household would see their property taxes increase by as much as $2,000 per year. Instead, local businesses help keep taxes lower for Marion County residents. So, the next time you see a local business thriving, remember, they're not just serving customers. They're supporting our community in more ways than one, helping to keep Marion County a vibrant place to live, work, and raise a family.
As you can see, when our local businesses grow and thrive, we all succeed. So in this time especially of economic uncertainty that we're all facing, I want to encourage all of us to stay true to what has worked so well for our community, sticking together and trusting each other. Let's reinvest in our families, churches, local businesses, and nonprofits. Let's support our law enforcement, firefighters, and first responders. It worked during the wildfires, it worked during COVID, it worked during the riots, and it continues to work today. Here in Marion County, when we stick together, we're strong. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Before I get started on the caboose end of this speech, in the last few minutes of today, I want to remind you that that QR code's on the table so you can ask us questions. We likely won't get to too many of those questions, but we can read them later and then find a way to respond to you kind of throughout the community. I want to thank my peers for the information that you shared today and the great work that you do on behalf of all of our neighbors across Marion County with me, and the tolerance that you provide me on a daily basis to be my natural self. I'm not going to be no different than that today. No, we're not asking for feedback right now. Tune in to a Wednesday morning 9 a.m. meeting if you want to hear that. For now, there are 13 departments in the county run by department heads and elected officials in partnership with the Board of Commissioners. Every single one of those departments in some fashion touches your life if you live in this county every single day, whether it's a road, a trash bin, a public safety issue, a healthcare issue, a tax issue. We have a lot of programs that we offer to try to help keep the livability amongst us affordable and positive. I'm going to talk about some of the areas that are super important to me as an individual that grew up here in Marion County. And actually, I think some of the questions that are asked on this QR code will be answered through the next few minutes. Housing is a #1 priority for this Board of Commissioners and has been for a long time. When I became a commissioner, I often shared the story of navigating warehousing throughout my childhood and how difficult it was for me to secure my own home as an adult. Today, thanks to our collective priority of owner-occupied housing, the commissioners have responded as quickly as possible to the disaster that occurred in the canyon and purchased 15 acres in Mill City in 2022. We sold 4 of those acres to a developer to create some multifamily housing, and we've saved 12 of those acres to partner, hopefully with OHCS, if they ever get their ducks in a row, for a $30 million grant to build down the cost of housing so we can invest in infrastructure and roadways, so we can put affordable homes for individuals to buy in that region. A year later, 6 acres in Gates came on the market, and we quickly secured that. I used to be a non-believer in government taking ownership of property because I wanted it to be available to the market. But what I know to be true that is in Oregon, we have so many barriers to the ability to build a house. You have to find creative ways to get those houses out there for folks to purchase. So we're holding on to these 2 properties in the hope that we'll have a state agency partner show up with our vision and assist us through dollars that are available right now to put in infrastructure so then we can go partner with developers to build those houses and get them on the market. Additionally, in 2018, Marion County became an entitled county, which means the Federal Department of Housing and Urbanization gives us money that we have to apply for through a grant to turn that around into vulnerable populations in our communities to help them find stability. A portion of the grant that we applied for, we allocated to down payment assistance and housing rehab. Since we've had the programs in place, we've been able to help 13 families with a $1.6 million investment purchase their own home in East Salem, Turner, Woodburn, Jefferson, and Mill City. There's multiples in those communities. These are often single-parent households navigating poverty. I don't know if you've tried to buy a house lately, but it takes a long time to save for it unless you're a millionaire, and that is unfortunate. When you own a home, you have an investment in your community, and that investment goes a really long ways to the education systems and whatever livability looks like for you because you're rooted in that space because it's yours. In our rehab program, we had conversation around who's the most vulnerable and who should we help. Well, of course, the intention is helping people rise out of poverty, but also we have these restricted income populations, the retirees, the seniors, the people with disabilities, that have to live really tightly within their means. And if they can't do basic maintenance on their home, then eventually they're gonna have to move out of that home and fall into possibly houselessness. The fastest rate of houselessness right now growing in Marion County is seniors. That's a travesty, and it must be corrected. Because of this program, we've helped 45 households to the tune of $1 million keep their home. They get to stay where they want to be, which is a really big deal for all of us to have that security. One of these individuals in Woodburn said, and he's a senior, "My roof was desperately in need of repair. I have a fixed income of $1,700 a month. I couldn't figure out how to afford this major repair. I was probably gonna have to move out, and where would I go? Today, because of the county, I'm thankful that I can now safely live in my own home and continue to thrive." In addition to in the lane of housing, the commissioners agree that there's an escalator of it. It's not a one-size-fits-all system for any of us. Maybe an apartment is best for you. Maybe a condo is best for you. Maybe a duplex, maybe a shared living. Whatever, it should be available to you at an affordable cost so you can access stability and safety. But we have a vulnerable population amongst us that you're all aware of, the folks with mental illness and folks navigating addiction. Where do they go to live? There's this concept, and you'll hear it amongst some of the community partners here today that no, I'll disagree with you on. Housing First isn't necessarily the best and only program out there to help people stabilize. Housing First is important, but it's not housing only. Because we believe in the not housing only initiative, we've been able to invest a fair amount of money over the last couple of years into partnerships. Commissioner Willis talked about one of them. But last year, there was one partner that I have been navigating. I lived in their facility at one point and been a volunteer of for a long time. Samunka House's Women and Children's Shelter in Kaiser. We gave them a $1.4 million grant to expand their women and children's shelter because nobody should live on the street, and especially not kids. In Kaiser, The US Bank parking lot, the Schoolhouse Square parking lot, when I was the Kaiser Chamber director, was a location for men to rest because their wives or partners and children were at Samunka House. There was no place at that time for families to go to navigate recovery together. And because of some of the visionaries that work for our addiction treatment team, Terry, I see you directly in front of me, and the work that you do in our communities, you pressed the county to take on her place 24 years ago, and it incentivized Commissioner Willis to present his place, and you always hoped for an our place. And a couple of weeks ago, because of our partnership and our steadfast commitment to helping people find housing, and transitional housing is housing, our place was opened. Catholic Community Services, Pacific Source is a partner in Marion County, cut the ribbon on a 12-unit apartment complex in the Highland Elementary School neighborhood for families for stabilization. 6 of those units will be navigated by Catholic Community Services for their stabilization programs, and 5 of those units will go to transitional treatment homes for individuals navigating addiction. Men and women can stay together with their children. That's very important. One of the fastest responses to somebody in addiction is the threat of losing their children, and how do they navigate that? Either they're gonna go straight down the hill and deeper into their addiction, or they're gonna reach out in that moment of need, and we're gonna be there to take their hand and walk them across the bridge to services and housing. I couldn't be more proud of the partnerships that we have in this county. It's almost near impossible to tell you on a regular basis the great work that's going on amongst us, because there's so much of it, and there's just never enough hours in the year to stand in front of you all in a lunch session to talk about it. Commissioner Willis talked about soaring heights. I'm gonna go a little further into detail. Eric and Victoria, are you here? Would you stand up? They're in the middle, back of the room. I'm sure you're thrilled with what I'm doing. Anyway, Eric and Victoria own Soaring Heights. Both of them are individuals who are proud to talk about their history of recovery and stabilization and what that journey looks like. They both had a dream and a skill set that they wanted to present into our community. And I'm not exactly sure when I first met Victoria, but she's unforgettable when you do meet her. And I encourage you to find her on the way out, because she will impart her vision on you, and you will for sure want to come to the table. The county has helped them purchase 3 homes. Those 3 homes are helping people come straight out of addiction. Services are not provided in the home, just love. Just a safe bed, a warm meal, and a place for them to be seen. And they partner with many of our community partners, whether it's the Marion County Addiction Treatment Team, Ideal Options, and many others that I can't think of at the moment, to find stabilization. And there's really no time frame on that. It's not like I'm gonna do it in 30 days kind of a thing. It's a case-by-case delivery. And we have to be patient, and we have to be persistent, and we have to be present for them. I wanna say thank you to both of you for the work that you do in our community and for the constant that you provide to the people who are suffering. Your passion is infectious. Speaking of passions, over the course of my tenure as a county commissioner, I've worked diligently and persistently, I'm sure to none of your surprise, to be heard at the state level regarding the serious misfortunes of some of the most vulnerable among us. When we walk through the communities of downtown Salem, downtown Woodburn, and even the sparse areas of rural Marion County, you're gonna see individuals navigating mental illness and addiction, and sometimes together. They're dying on our streets and they're suffering on our streets, and it's not okay. It's because we have a civil commitment process in Oregon that's broken. Literally, for the 4 years I've been a commissioner, I have been very aggressive about this topic in partnership with my district attorney. We have finally arrived to a legislature that is listening to us. Just last week, I testified in front of the House Judiciary Committee on a bill that is going to move forward, that's gonna lower the bar for civil commitment and define what danger to self or danger to other is. It seems like it would be a simple thing to do, but it's not because of rules. Once we lower that bar, our systems can engage. The county is the local mental health authority. It's our responsibility to see anybody and be available to everybody when they have a need, especially in the mental health space. we have not been able to help people. We can't transport them because of the restrictions on law enforcement. We can't have a circuit court judge put them in an institution because these laws are restrictive. When we lower the bar, nobody is saying we want to put you in an institution forever. I'm not an advocate for that. I'm an advocate for stabilization. But then the program has to come after that. What does that look like? We stabilize them at the Oregon State Hospital or a secure residential treatment facility. And then once they're stabilized and they know that they need continued supports, the county has to come in as a partner and have community beds available for them or family supports available for them. Those systems right now are limited, and we have to lean out into our communities with our partners in the city of Salem who have the largest population in need today and advocate to the state for additional resources to make expansion occur. And it has to happen fast. That leads me to the Stabilization Center. The sheriff is here. I'm sure you've seen him everywhere with the Board of Commissioners over the last year because we're working diligently and collaboratively to find a place to have folks get a timeout when they need a timeout. We have 20 incorporated cities in Marion County. That's 20 city councils, and most of them have their own law enforcement team, but they don't have a jail. Today, the sheriff or that police officer, they can't just take anybody who's committing a low-level crime or acting out to the jail because of Senate Bill 48. There's a process that the legislature put in place that restricts the sheriff and his team to help people take those timeouts. But because of the passage of House Bill 4002 in 2024 and some funding that we received through the vision of our sheriff and our former undersheriff, Jeff Wood, we have a plan in place to help those cities navigate those difficult folks who are acting out and help them get a timeout. In addition to provide a little reprieve on the jail for folks that don't necessarily need to be in the jail. There's no timeline for when that's going to open because we're going to do it right. And we're taking a lot of time right now to go through the steps and to have the conversations to get that facility open. But I'm pretty confident with the impatience that the sheriff has around this and the motivation, it'll be within the next year. And because I know that we're running over, and I'm going to blame Commissioner Cameron for this year, I'm going to wrap up really quickly. I know what comes around, he says. One of the last things that I want to impart on all of you is partnership. There's nothing more important to an elected official than their partners in the elected space. Nothing. We're not the end-all be-all. We are not in control of what's happening in cities. When there's a city council, they're in control. We're not in control of the state because the legislature supposedly is in control. Maybe the governor, who knows. Partnership is important, and we yearn for it, and we've vocalized it quite a bit over the last couple of years. In fact, in the last 4 speeches, I have stood up here and picked on the city of Salem. I'm going to do it a little bit more today. So hold on, Mayor. Julie Hoy is here today. She's the new mayor of Salem. I'm not ashamed to say that she's one of my closest friends. And I will say on this stage that when I first met her, after getting to know her, maybe in front of her or elsewhere, I said, she's a lot like me, but she's much nicer, which is also true. She's also much more patient. She's curious, and she's wise, and she's thoughtful, and she's a partner. In the 2 years that I've been working with her, she's been to more work sessions than any other elected non-county person across the county, trying to learn what is her job as a city councilor before, and for sure now as the mayor. The questions that she has asked have been so helpful to me because I can go find the answer and learn in the process. I can learn the role deeper of the city and what the wants of her citizens are versus the duties of the county and the wants of the whole jurisdiction. We have 20 incorporated cities, which means we have 20 mayors and 20 various members of city councils that are important to us. And each one of them come with a different perspective, and every one of their cities has different challenges. And it's our job, kind of on the pyramid, if you will, cities, county, to pay attention to all of that and to be informed and to be collaborative. But we've been challenged and stunted in the city lately, in the last couple of years in the city of Salem, because there was a different direction, I think, and a different mindset of what partnership was supposed to be. And it wasn't for a lack of try on both parts. The former city council in Salem was present and collaborative too, just in a different way. But now we have an opportunity to really lean in. And it's like she's got skates on. She took office in January, and at the end of January, the Marion County Board of Commissioners and the City Council of Salem had a collaborative meeting together to learn about behavioral health, the system of care that supports the mental health population and the addiction health population. If you don't know about the systems and or what your responsibilities are, it's difficult to navigate those things. It's super easy to place blame. And it's also easy to feel bad about not doing something that's maybe not your job to do. I want to thank you, Julie, for being curious, for showing up every time one of us calls you on any of these issues that you've heard today, by the way. If you want to talk about Salem water, Kevin and Julie have talked. If you want to talk about waste, well, I've talked to you about some of that too, but Kevin for sure, it's his area. And Commissioner Willis, I know, has talked to you about all the challenges that your community is facing for the vulnerable populations, and I know that we're working forward to try to help stabilize everything together. I appreciate your passion, and I want to leave everybody in this room with this thought. What is it to imagine, from your perspective today, what healthy, livable, safe communities look like? And then I want you to imagine what your role in that is. Because it's going to take every single one of us in this room and in this city and in this county to collaborate and to discuss how we're going to get there. There's not enough money in any single jurisdiction to solve the problems that exist today. There's just not. And it shouldn't always come down to money. Sometimes it needs to come down to partnership and collaboration. I'm really grateful to be serving you in my second term as a county commissioner. And everything I talked about today is a serious passion for me. Because of the life I lived and because of the life I live amongst, I think it's our job every day to show up for our neighbors. And we're going to continue to do that as your Board of Commissioners. Thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do. And please reach out if we can help you at all. Have a great day. Yeah, so I ran over 10 minutes. So we're not going to get to the questions because we know you all have probably jobs to be at. So thanks for being here, but we'll hang out for a little bit if you want to talk to us. And come on up. Have a great day.